Hi everybody, Matt Bernier, Mike Beer, taking a look at the Breeders' Cup focus for the Breeders' Cup Classic. It's the big division, and we're going to first take a look at the prospective field right now. Now this is, obviously, we've got a ways to go, but if this field were to go, these odds are Mike Watchmaker, DRF National Handicappers. That's his opinion as far as the morning line is concerned, and he has made Gunrunner the 9-5 favorite. Arrogate 2-1 second choice, collected 6-1, and then everybody else jumps up to 10-1, whether it be West Coast or Cupid or Keen Ice or Gervin or Guinevere, IRAP, Pavel, whoever it may be. It really feels like, Mike, this is a kind of a three-horse show, doesn't it?
Yeah, you got three horses who, at least to this point of the season, they've sort of separated themselves from everybody else. And we'll see if a horse like West Coast, the sort of now 3-year-old, who's going to run tomorrow at Parks, maybe he can, sort of jump up with another big race and throw his hat into the ring. But for now, it's three of them. Would you have ever thought after the Dubai World Cup that Arrogate would not be the morning line favorite for the Breeders' Cup?
No chance, and it's been for a number of reasons, but we got to give a little bit of credit to Mike Watchmaker's current morning line favorite, and that's Gunrunner. We're going to take a look at Gunrunner's most recent start. This was in the Woodward up at Saratoga. You've got a nice horse in Neolithic. You've got Rally Cry. Okay, jury's out on him. Gunrunner absolutely buries this field.
This is the second time they ran him at Saratoga during that meetup there in a Grade 1 race, a major Grade 1 race. He did this both times. I mean, he was super impressive in those races. The thing about Gunrunner too is it always sort of felt like, 9 furlongs, that's his thing. You try and go 10 with him, which he's going to have to do on the Breeders' Cup, and he probably doesn't want to go that far. I'm not so sure I feel that way anymore. His last two races are dynamite.
I could not agree more. I always had that sort of thing in the back of my head that said, yeah, he's better going middle distances, but now the way that he's finished, and I don't care about the lead changes anymore.
That's just
if he's going to run like that, I mean, change 15 times for all I care. My question for you is, he sat off the pace really for the first time in any one of his good races in the Woodward. I almost think he was better.
Yeah, that's true. I will say, and I agree with that, it's like the first time it felt like he did it and he really ran a complete race while doing that. I will say it's kind of easy to do that when you're 1-100 against horses who just can't go with you. And it might be a different scenario in the Breeders' Cup with some other real quality speed horses, but all things being equal, if he just shows up and he can come to Del Mar and run either one of his last two races, he will not be an easy horse to beat.
Does the Del Mar main track bother you at all? And the problem is, even if it does, how do you factor that in?
I don't think you can. I mean, he's just a horse. He's never run over it. You have no idea what's going to happen until he lines up in the gate and then he breaks from it. And if that is the thing that is sort of holding Arrogate back right now, and I guess that's still open to some question. It doesn't have to be that he hates that track, but it sort of feels like that's what it is. I mean, I suppose it could happen to Gunrunner too, but I don't know how you factor that in right now.
Arrogate's most recent race, it wasn't the typical Arrogate that we've seen in the past, but it also doesn't hurt that he ran into a horse that's really, really sharp right now, and it's the third choice on Mike Watchmaker's morning line. That's Collected. We're going to take a look at the Pacific Classic where these two horses, look, Collected, I know he was out there on a relatively soft lead, but he's turned into a really nice horse. Arrogate, for a moment here, I thought he was going to come with that big run. Collected just held him off. Yeah,
Collected, he ran really well in this race, Collected. This was another nice step in the right direction for him, and I think you're right. When he wheeled Arrogate out in the stretch, I thought, oh, I think he is going to put in a run here, but he hasn't been the same for whatever reason. Again, and I don't know if it's the surface there. It seems like it is, but you don't know. He hasn't been the Arrogate. He hasn't been the really good Arrogate in his last two starts, and that's a real problem heading into the Breeders' Cup.
Now, having said all that, if we still get a horse, let's just say he runs his B+ sort of race, I mean, the fact that a lot of people were saying that Arrogate right there, that was just kind of one of his blah efforts, and he lost by 1 length.
Yeah, with a big figure.
With a 115 or a 114 buyer. I mean, I don't know. There's a part of me that still wonders, is it going to be a situation similar to Beholder last year where she came in on the heels of a couple of losses and people said it was over, and Richard Mandela got one more big one out of him? Can Bob Baffert get one more big one out of Arrogate?
I mean, I'd like to say yes, but I don't know. I'm almost in the position with him where I just wish Baffert wouldn't have waited to the Breeders'. I wish he would have shipped him and ran him somewhere else. Yeah. Just to see if you could find out if he shipped him for, say the Jockey Club Gold Cup, and he puts on a show, then maybe it is the racetrack, and that would give you even more of a concern for the Breeders' Cup. I don't really know what to say about his last two races. And I get the Beholder comparison, I guess, except that, I mean, one of Arrogate's races was a total disaster. I mean, he didn't run at all in that race. And then last time, I guess it was a little better. And of course, if you just go by figures, yeah, I guess it was fine. But that's not the old Arrogate.
Let's take a look at the current list of potential contenders again one more time if we could for the Breeders' Cup Classic, for Breeders' Cup Focus. Obviously, it looks like on paper it could be a 3-horse kind of race. Outside of the top 3, are there any other names in there that you would be mildly intrigued with? Maybe not to win, but potentially underneath.
The only one I will give a sort of small nod to right now is Keen Ice, just because I think he wants the 1.25 miles. His last few races for Pletcher are pretty good. He'll be running on at the end of the race. Can he beat those top 3? I don't think he can. He can get a piece of the Breeders' Cup Classic, though.
It'll be interesting to see what we get as we get closer and closer to the first weekend in November down at the Del Mar Thoroughbred Club. Breeders' Cup Classic shaping up to be a tremendous horse race with the top 3 looking like they might be throwing it down.